Hello everybody, Dark Skeleton here, and in this video I'm going to be sharing some arena tips which hopefully should be able to get you some more wins the next time you go ahead and play arena mode. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Managing your resources, silence, removal, etc. If you want to be good at Hearthstone, it's very important that you manage your resources effectively. Here you're going to see my opponent play a Ironbeak Owl onto my 3/2 Raptor. This is not a bad play because it removes my Raptor's ability to death rattle into a 1-drop minion. However, whenever you use up a resource such as a silence effect, that means that you do not have that card any longer to answer what could be a bigger threat later on in the game. For instance, here I'm immediately able to follow his silence up with a Twilight Drake, which would have been devastated by his silence effect. But because he no longer has the silence, I'm basically able to take the game away from him just by playing that Drake. Use Taunt to protect important minions. I often see people use Taunt solely to make last-ditch efforts to save their own skin, and usually it's quite futile. I believe in most cases a much better use for your Taunt minions is to protect other minions which are high value and that your opponent would absolutely want to remove. For instance, Inspire cards usually allow you to gain a lot of value as long as you can keep using your hero power each turn, so the Silverhand Regent will be able to continually let me summon 1/1 Silverhand recruits for free as long as I can keep it alive. With this bear in the way, it's going to be a lot harder for him to actually remove my Silverhand Regent. Now, because I luck out here against the opponent priest's MC tech, the fact I have this taunt in the way really makes a churning point for the game. Me being able to continually milk the value out of my Inspire card is a big deal. Using the taunt or taunts to protect your 3/3 that turns into 4/4 worth of stats after one hero power or 5/5 worth of stats after another hero power allows you to basically outvalue your opponent, and in the arena game, outvalue is usually how you win. Here I play a Sludge Belcher, which is another good taunt minion that further protects my Silverhand Regent, and I don't need to trade it, so I can continually use it once again to get more free 1/1s. Throwing minions out for equal trade is often correct to maintain board tempo. If you're playing arena, especially on the early turns, you should not be afraid to throw a minion that is pretty much guaranteed to die to what your opponent has on the field in order to maintain board tempo. In this situation, his 3/2 Ooze trades perfectly into my 2/3 River Crocolisk, but because I use that minion to basically trade for his minion on the field, my Zombie Chow plus Hero Power combination allows me to regain the board. Avoid picking too many situational cards in arena mode. When you're drafting arena, you should be careful about drafting highly situational cards that rely on having a specific type of deck list. When this paladin played a Summoning Stone against me, it was literally a free kill. If he had drafted any other 5-drop, this might have ended up being a very different game. However, because he chose a card which was situational and didn't have the cards to combo with it to actually make it playable, I was just able to regain the board and come back from a losing position. As you can see, I hadn't damaged him a single point by this point. In the end, despite him having a more aggressive deck, because he had to make a bad play by just throwing a Summoning Stone out there, I was eventually able to regain the board and win with my superior minions. Take perceived gambles if it increases your win percentage. Okay, now here's a big one that I think a lot of players fail to realize. It's easy to get too caught up in the board control and trading game. However, if your opponent is noticeably playing an extremely greedy deck that you believe has nothing but huge, high-cost minions in their deck, then you've got to take notice of that and realize that it's easier for you to win in a game where you try to take your opponent out than it is to win in a card-for-card battle. Here, the initial tip-off that something's wrong is that after playing Roaring Torch to remove my minion, he's simply going to set up a secret on his side of the board. He's not really trying to develop tempo. He's got a big Eerie statue on his side of the board, which is only usable if you can actually clear your opponent's field, so I'm kind of fearing cards like Flame Strike at this point. However, sometimes you have to take calculated risks. Given how he's playing the game, am I more likely to lose to a random Flame Strike in his hand, or by trying to trade out for every single card that he has available for? The second that an Ethereal Conjurer comes down on his side of the field this turn, many of my fears are pretty much confirmed. He's almost asking me to trade into his Ethereal Conjurer, and I would say 90% chance in this game that card was in fact a duplicate. If I keep trying to go for board control or playing absolutely around Flame Strike, then I proc his duplicate, he gets 2 more Ethereal Conjurers, which in turn means he gets 2 more spells after playing those, and eventually I would lose the value game. So the long story short is that sometimes you just need to know when to go for it. Clearing the board, while usually the correct situation, particularly in Arena, is not always the right answer. If you want to win more, then you need to think more about what play gives you the best win percentage, not necessarily how you intended to draft your deck, but about how your deck is matching up against your opponent's deck, given that your opponent has X amount of cards, the types of cards they're playing, how quickly they're playing, and other factors along those lines. In this situation, although one of the 2 secrets is very likely to be Ice Block at this point, I deem that it's still the best strategy to go for the face, pop the Ice Block if necessary, and try to secure the win, because Ethereal Conjurers are very hard to trade against in terms of value. Even if it had been Ice Block, he would have had to have a massive healing effect like a Reno Jackson to actually stay in this game with this play. Drafting for a strong curve is as important as drafting powerful cards. In this last tip, I'd like to point out how important it is to draft a curve in Arena where you can actually make plays on every single turn. In this particular situation, I became very unlucky because I didn't actually draw into a 4-cost minion on turn 4 or before turn 4. As your wins in Arena mode go up, you're going to be fighting against decks that other people have drafted, which are far less forgiving. This particular Arena match was after my 10th win in this run, so the Hunter deck is pretty much going to crush me now. Remember when you're drafting your deck that it's often better to worry about fleshing out your curve and making sure that it's a well-balanced deck, rather than trying to go for all of the best value minions. Just like constructed mode, there is a such thing as putting too many big guys into your deck. If I had actually landed my 4-cost minion inside of this game, it might have turned out very differently. This part of the video is just to demonstrate how drastically missing that one card affects your game. So I've been Dark Skeleton, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you next time.